All right. So let's discuss about the first forest-wide rules, the two forest-wide rules we have. So the first one is schema master. Can someone tell me what is schema? If you remember, as we discussed this yesterday, what do you understand by schema?
It's like a
Uh,
lengthy form which holds the information about the object.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, go.
it is like whenever an object is created, schema stores every bit of information about that object.
Exactly. Exactly. So have you gone through the recording yesterday, Gago?
No, Razi, I didn't get a chance. Was full
Okay.
busy with work.
That means, I mean, you were aware of what is schema already. Yeah. So it
No,
stores
no, no. I
information.
joined at
Okay.
the end. Nah, I've listened.
Oh, okay, okay. Got it. So it stores the information about each and every object in Active Directory. So information can be, as we discussed Uzma yesterday, it can be like the first name, last name, email address, phone number, everything, every information, every detailed information which belongs to the object will be stored in schema in Active Directory. So when you create an account in Active Directory, you give all the user related information. So in Active Directory, where exactly it is getting stored? It is getting stored in schema master. Schema basically. Okay. So yeah. So another important thing. So every user information is called as a attribute. Okay. So this is a very important terminology. uh, Try to remember these terminologies. So I'm using this terminology, so this will be helpful for when we are learning Azure Active Directory. Okay. So attribute. What is an attribute? Attribute is a user information. Is a information about the object. Okay. So user first name is an attribute. User last name is an attribute. Phone number is an attribute. Email address is an attribute. Okay. So attributes are important whenever the user is making any authentication request. Okay, now I'm trying to give some real-time example. I mean, why exactly attributes are important and where exactly attributes are utilized in Active Directory. Okay, so in a real-time scenario, let's take the example. The user is trying to access some application. Okay, the user is trying to access some application. He is trying to log into some application. Now this application, uh, before giving access to the user, it will also request the user information from Active Directory. Okay, it will also request the user information from Active Directory so that he can provide a better user interface to the user. Okay, so that he can provide a better user interface to the user. Agree with me or any confusion until now?
Agree.
Okay. So I'll
Razi,
give
please
you.
repeat. No.
Yeah. So whenever a user account is trying to access any application, access in the sense he's trying to log in, he's trying to authenticate with the help of username and password. So whenever it is trying to authenticate to an application, Active Directory will come into picture, right? Because Active Directory is responsible to authenticate and authorize the user, right? It verifies the
Yes.
credentials of the user whenever he is accessing any application and it will authorize the user. So Active Directory will also share some user related information to the application at the time of authentication. It will validate the credentials for sure, and once verifying the credentials in response, it will also send some user related information to the application.
Okay.
Why application is interested in this user information, we will understand with the help of a very good example. Okay. So you guys are working for have been working for some organizations, right? So do you guys had any application called attendance related to attendance, wherein you used to fill up your attendance on a regular basis and you used to submit your attendance? Any such application do you remember of?
Yes,
Yes,
it
we
will
have
be.
check in.
Yeah, yeah. So you used to submit your attendance every day. You used to log in, or let's say once in a week, you used to log in and you used to fill up your attendance for the entire week or entire month, and you used to submit your attendance, right? Do you guys used to get an option to approve your own attendance?
No.
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 So that option goes with your manager, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, I know it's a very silly question. Yeah. So the option of approval goes to your manager, not to you. So your manager is also a user in the same Active Directory. You guys are also a user in the same Active Directory, right?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. And the application is also same. You're also logging into same application. Your manager is also logging into the same application. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. But you are not getting the option of approval, but your manager is getting an option to approve or deny, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So how is the application is able to differentiate between you and your manager? And your the application is giving some options to you and some additional options to your manager, but not giving those options to you. Similarly, let's take another example. You guys are using Uber, Ola applications, Uber and Ola. So Uber and Ola
Yes.
applications. So let's say you open Uber application in your mobile phone to book a cab. Okay, and when you open this Uber application, you are located in Hyderabad, but Uber application is showing you the cabs available in Bangalore city. Is that helpful for you?
No.
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 So Uber application will request your location information, right? So if you share the location information with the application that you are located in Hyderabad at this particular place, then it can provide you a better user interface. It can give you better results. Are you with me?
Yes.
Yes.
This is the reason application will request certain user related information at the time of authentication and authorization from Active Directory. So if in your case of attendance application, if you are if the Active Directory is sharing the designation attribute from the schema, okay, designation is also a attribute, user related information like first name, last name, phone number. Similarly, designation, whether you are a manager or an engineer, whether what is your competency, that that kind of parameter, okay, that attribute. If the application is receiving that information, in that in by the help of that information, application is able to differentiate between your account and your manager account, and that is how the application is giving some options to your manager but not giving some options to you. You are also logging into the same application, your manager is also logging into same application. You are also a user account in Active Directory, your manager is also using a user account from the same Active Directory to log in. But your manager is getting some other options to approve, deny, or a lot more options, but you're not getting that option. This is just because the application is able to differentiate between your account and your manager account with the help of a parameter called designation. If your designation is manager, give him this interface. If the designation is not a manager, don't give him these options after he logs in. Similarly, Uber, Ola, if you're sharing the location attribute, then the application can give you a better user interface, better results. Now, understanding why attributes are important at the time of authentication.
Yes.
Yes, Pratik.
So, this is why applications will request certain user related information at the time of login so that they can give a better user interface to the user. Okay, and if we talk about any authentication flow, let's say we talk about so there are different authentication protocols. I don't want to confuse you guys directly, but I mean There are different protocols that are used. So I'm just discussing this so that I can relate this at the time of Azure Active Directory training. Okay. So we will talk about a lot of authentications and authorizations happening, and what type of tokens are getting exchanged between the uh, identity provider, okay, and resource provider. So I'm using some terminologies. Uh, Make a note of it. So identity provider is something who will validate the credentials and give the access. That is nothing but Active Directory in our case, right? Active Directory is the identity provider. Identity provider is nothing but who is providing the identity of this user. Okay, Active
Active
Directory
Directory.
in our case. Yeah. So identity provider will validate the credentials and give the access. So whenever there is an authentication happening, so since we are discussing about authentication, let's get into deep. Let's get try to understand how exactly the flow works. Okay, in a typical authentication. So whenever there is an authentication happening, let's say the user is logging into an application. So the application will send a request to the identity provider. Okay. So let's say you are logging into facebook.com from a browser, that is Google Chrome. So the Google Chrome is the client application over here. It will redirect you to the identity provider. So it will send a request to Active Directory. Hey, this is the user. He came to me. So how does he contacts the Active Directory? With the help of your domain. So let's say Raghu is logging in raghu.deshmi at razi.tech. So when I give the username raghu.deshmi at razi.tech, the application will get to know, okay, this user is coming from an Active Directory domain, that is razi.tech. So he will contact that Active Directory server, razi.tech. Okay, application will redirect the request to razi.tech Active Directory server. So it will try to fetch with the help of DNS. It will try to find that server, and it will send a request. Okay, this user came to me with this password. Please validate him and provide me a token. So the application will go to the Active Directory. Active Directory will receive the request with the credentials, username, and password. It will validate, it will do the authentication step and authorization step. And in the response, it will send a token. Okay, in the response, it will send a token. In that token, there will be an authentication token as well as some attributes will be present. To- So this token is sent to the application. Once the application receives a response from Active Directory, okay, this is a validated user, give him access, and these are the attributes that you requested. So it will send the set of attributes to related to the user account, and then application will log you in. This is how the authentication, a typical authentication flow happens whenever any user is authenticating to any application. The client application will send a request to the Active Directory server, saying that, okay, this is the user came to me with this username and password, and in the request it will also request some attribute informations. Okay, so whenever the application is sending a request to the Active Directory server, it will present the username and password, as well as it will also ask for certain attribute information in the request itself. Active Directory will do the authentication and authorization step and send a response back by also sending those attribute information in the response. So this is how a typical authentication flow works. Clear with this or any confusion?
Clear.
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 All right. So we were discussing about schema, and inside schema, what is stored?
Attributes and
Attributes are
Objects.
stored. Perfect. Yeah.
Attributes.
Object related information, that nothing but attributes. So attributes, why attributes are important? So that the application can present a better user interface to the user. Attributes are requested at the time of authentication. We have seen some examples, and I think it's clear now, right?
yes.
All right. Shall we move to the next row? Next role. So after schema master, we have domain naming master. So schema master is used to store the information. That's how it is. So it is a forest wide role. So in a forest, there is only one schema master, role available in a domain controller. Okay. Similarly, we have another role that is domain naming master. So this is also a role part of Active Directory domain controller itself. Okay. So domain naming master is as the name itself says, whenever a new domain is getting created inside the forest, inside the forest, whenever a new domain is getting created, it can be a child domain, it can be a subdomain, it can be any domain inside the forest. So whenever a new domain is getting created, it will ensure that the naming context of the domain is unique across the forest. Very simple, right? So whenever a new domain is getting created, it will ensure that the name which you are giving to that domain is unique across the forest. There is no conflict in domain names inside a forest. Okay, as simple as that. Clear?
Yes, Razi, I got it.
Okay. So these are the two forest-wide goals. First is schema master and domain naming master. So there is only one schema master in for an entire forest and only one domain naming master for the entire forest. That is why it is forest-wide goal. Whereas we have some domain wide roles as well. So these domain wide roles are available in each and every domain inside a forest. So let's say in a forest that is resi.tech, I have a domain that is hyderabad.resi.tech. So for hyderabad.resi.tech domain, I will have separate domain wide roles, whereas for bangalore.resi.tech, I have separate domain wide roles. So there are multiple domain wide roles available for each and every domain inside a forest. But whereas for a forest, for forest wide roles, there is only one role, one schema master available for the entire forest. So in resi.tech, there will be only one Active Directory server hosting the schema master role, not multiple. Okay, it will be only one for forest wide role. So domain wide roles, we have first one is relative ID master. It is called as read master, RID master. Okay. So the job of RID master is to generate security IDs, SIDs. Okay. So these SIDs are allocated to user objects whenever they get created. I mean, not necessary to be user object, any object which is getting created in that particular domain. So this RID master will tag a new security ID to each and every account or each and every object that resides in the domain. This is similar to your employee ID, right? So whenever you get tagged to a new company, so they will allocate you a new employee ID, a unique employee ID with which your identity is verified, right? So RID master is nothing but it will generate security IDs. Security IDs are getting allocated to each and every object inside the domain. So whenever you're creating a new user account in a domain, or let's say you're adding a computer account in a domain, so any object that is getting created in the domain, it will allocate a security ID, SID. We call it as SID. So this security ID is a unique identifier for that particular object. So this is this. Let's take an example. I mean, the reason for SID is let's say अभी नेम कॉन्फ्लिक्ट होती है ना अपने पास. I mean, let's say you're working for a company, so Mujahid, let's say Mujahid is a very common name, so we can have I mean one or two people with the same name in the same Active Directory, right? मुजाहिद नाम के कोई और भी हो सकते, सेम एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी में, सेम कंपनी में वही नाम के एक और भी हो सकते, राइट? But in order to differentiate between these two people in the Active Directory, we allocate a security ID, a unique number to this account. Okay. मुजाहिद नाम के अगर दो एम्प्लॉयज भी है कंपनी में, लेकिन ये दोनों में डिफरेंशिएट करने के लिए what Active Directory does is whenever the account is getting created, they will allocate a security ID to this account. Security ID is just a number, okay? It's a number. So this number is getting allocated to this user account. Let me see if I can show you something under user management. Hmm. Yep. I can show you something. Let me share my screen. Guys, am I audible? Not getting any acknowledgements.
You're audible.
Yes.
Audible, Razi.
Okay. My screen is visible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll go to the user management on my laptop. Okay. So here you have local users and groups. So if I go to the administrators user group, you will see certain user members. In this user member, you will also see the SID of the user account. See, this is how SID looks like. S hyphen 1 hyphen 12, some random number. Okay. This is how SID looks like. Is it visible, guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is how security ID looks like. So RID master will generate SIDs, security IDs. So these security IDs, random security IDs, gets allocated to each and every object inside the Active Directory. Okay. So this is just to maintain uniqueness across all the objects. So जैसा मैं बोला मुजाहिद नाम के अगर दो एम्प्लॉयज है सेम कंपनी में तो उन दोनों में यूनिकनेस मेंटेन करने के लिए वी विल हैव अ सिक्योरिटी आईडी एलोकेटेड. ठीक है. तो सिक्योरिटी आईडी एलोकेट करने से क्या होता, we can differentiate with the Active Directory can actually differentiate between these two accounts easily. So instead of identifying them from their name, it will be identified by the security IDs. The account will be identified in Active Directory with the help of the security ID, which is unique for the entire domain. Okay, right. So security ID is generated. Okay, so let's take an example. Just an example. This so read master. If let's say if this read master is down for a situation, okay, the server is down, it's not generating any SIDs. So what could happen, what will be the situation? So whenever you're creating new user accounts, or let's say you're adding new computer objects, it may impact something, right? So the SIDs are not generated, so it will not be able to allocate security IDs to those objects. But what happens is a read master will generate the SIDs in bulk. Okay. So I don't remember the exact number, but at a time the read master will generate across 200 to 250 SIDs in a bulk, so that new objects get allocated from that queue of SIDs. Okay, so even if a RID master is down, if it is not working at a given point of time, even at that point also you can create new objects, new user accounts, new computer accounts in that particular domain, because RID master is generally generating the SIDs in bulk. So the SIDs will be available even if the RID master is down. You can still create accounts. Okay, so this is like your company ID cards. Okay, so when you join a new company, you will be allocated with a company ID card, right? So it's like giving you new ID card when you get onboarded. So similar to that, when a new account is getting created, it gives you a unique ID, unique identity, right? So अगर ID card बनाने की machine अगर खराब भी है, ठीक है, but still new employees can join in because ID cards are generated in bulk, and we have kept them in I mean ज़्यादा बना के create करके रख लिए, ठीक है, so it's available. Even if the machine is not working, y- the ID cards can be issued to the new employees joining in. Similarly, even if the RID master is not working, SIDs can still be issued to the new accounts getting created. क्लियर है? कुछ डाउट्स है?
It's clear.
All right. So this was the first domain-wide role, that is RID master. The only purpose is to generate SIDs, and we have seen how does SID looks like. SID is a random number which gets allocated to each and every object. Next we have PDC emulator. Guys, these things are mentioned in the document which I have shared. Okay, so you can go through it once. Uh, so I'm just reading it out. Don't get confused. What is this PDC emulator? It's a new terminology altogether, but it's available in the document. You can go through it as well. Okay. So the second domain-wide role is PDC emulator. PDC emulator has multiple responsibilities. The primary responsibility of PDC emulator is to synchronize the time across the domain. ठीक है, अब आपका एक मशीन है, उज़मा का एक लैपटॉप है, मुजाहिद का एक लैपटॉप है, रघु का एक लैपटॉप है, कंपनी प्रोवाइडेड लैपटॉप। तो अभी तीनों के लैपटॉप्स में सेम टाइम रहना, ठीक है, अभी 11:42 AM हो रहे, तो सबके लैपटॉप्स में 11:42 AM होना, किसी के भी पास 11:41 या 11:43 नहीं रहना। इवन सेकेंड्स का भी अगर डिफरेंस रहा तो ऑथेंटिकेशन में प्रॉब्लम होता। ठीक है, I'll give you an example and show you how exactly it will affect. So PDC emulator is responsible to synchronize the time for each and every server running in a domain. ठीक है, सर्वर का मतलब क्या है? It can be the Active Directory server or any particular server, file server, or DNS server. So you will have n number of servers and number of machines functioning in your environment, right? So when you have a IT setup, so you will have different servers working for different roles and different features. So all these servers will be in a network, will be connected in a network. तो ये सारे सर्वर्स का एक ही रहना है, सिंक्रोनाइज होना है, ठीक है, सो दैट responsibility is with this PDC emulator in Active Directory. This person will ensure that the time is synchronized across all the machines in that particular domain. ठीक है, क्लियर है?
Yes.
ठीक है,
Yes.
alright, I'll give you a very good example. So we can have multiple Active Directory servers in a particular domain, right? Just an example. So let's say we have thousands of users in a particular domain. बहुत ज़्यादा users है एक domain में. तो अब just take an example of Microsoft company, ठीक है? Microsoft में इतने सारे employees है, right? तो इतने सारे employees जब log in करते होंगे, whenever they start their shift at 9 AM IST, ठीक है? General shift के कितने employees है? Okay, so they start their shift at 9 AM IST. So when they log in, there will be huge amount of traffic going to Active Directory, right? Huge amount of traffic. So many users are logging at the same time. So Active Directory will have lot of tasks to do, right? So many users are are sending the authentication request. So the Active Directory will receive so many requests at a time. It has to validate all the credentials for all those users and give the access, right? तो इतने सारे यूजर्स को एक एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी सर्वर काम नहीं कर सकता, ठीक है, इट कैन नॉट सफाइज टू authenticate these many users at a single time. For that reason, what we will do in a environment, usually we will have multiple active directory servers connected in a network. So the traffic will go to each and every of them, it will divide between them. ठीक है? तो जब कोई बड़ी कंपनी है जहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा एम्प्लॉइज़ है, तो वैसे कंपनीज़ में एक एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी सर्वर नहीं रहता। देयर विल बी मल्टीपल एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी सर्वर्स कनेक्टेड इन अ नेटवर्क। ठीक है? So what will happen? The requests which are coming to Active Directory will get divided among them. डायरेक्टरी को सारी ट्रैफिक जाने के बजाय डिवाइड हो जाती मल्टीपल सर्वर्स में। So it will ease the job of Active Directory, right? For a single Active Directory to authenticate thousands of employees together is not an easy task. It will take some time, right? तो इसीलिए क्या करते हैं, मल्टीपल सर्वर्स मेंटेन करते हैं। अभी माइक्रोसॉफ्ट इंडिया में है, फिर यूएस में है, अलग अलग कंट्रीज में है। तो यूएस के एम्प्लॉयज अगर लॉग इन कर रहे, तो रिक्वेस्ट अगर इंडिया को आ रही, इंडिया में एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी सर्वर है, इट विल बी सो मच ऑफ delayed response, right? अगर इतना geographical distance रहेगा यूजर्स में और एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी सर्वर में, यूजर्स लॉग इन कर रहे हैं एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी सर्वर इंडिया, यूजर्स यूके या यूएस में है, तो वहां से लॉग इन इंडिया के सर्वर को आ रही, यहाँ से ऑथेंटिकेट होके जा रहा, तो बहुत लेंथी हो जाता, टाइम कंज्यूमिंग हो जाता। एग्री विथ मी?
Yes.
ठीक है? तो इसके लिए क्या करते, सेग्रीगेट कर देते, इंडिया के यूजर्स के लिए एक सेपरेट सर्वर रख दिया एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी का इंडिया में, यूएस के लोकेशन के लिए अलग सर्वर्स मेंटेन है, वहाँ का डेटा सेंटर अलग है, वहाँ के सर्वर्स अलग है। ठीक है? अभी ये जो पीडीसी एमुलेटर है जो टाइम सिंक्रोनाइज कर रहा, इसकी रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ये है कि इंडिया के सर्वर्स रहने दो या यूएस के रहने दो, कनाडा के रहने दो, चाइना में रहने दो, कहीं पे भी रहने दो सर्वर, सब में टाइम सिंक्रोनाइजेशन होना। इंडिया के सर्वर्स का अगर अब इंडिया में 11:30 AM हो रहे, तो यूएस में समझो के वन आई मीन रात के शायद 1:30 बज रहे हैं या फिर 2 बज रहे हैं। ठीक है? तो एग्जैक्टली यहाँ पे अगर 11:30 हो रहे, तो वहाँ पे 1 AM पीएसटी या 1 AM सीएसटी होना एग्जैक्टली टाइम के हिसाब से। आई मीन when you differentiate between the time zone of India and US, you will see something related to 1 AM or 1:30 AM happening at the moment for Central Standard and Pacific Standard Times. ओके? तो ये जो टाइम सिंक्रोनाइजेशन है, अगर इंडिया के सर्वर में 11:30 AM हो रहे, तो एग्जैक्टली इस हिसाब से कैलकुलेटेड टाइम रहना यूएस में, एक एक मिनट भी आगे पीछे नहीं होना यूएस के सर्वर में। यूएस में भी सर्वर्स है, इंडिया में भी सर्वर्स है एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी के, दूसरे कंट्रीज में भी है, कनाडा में भी है, अलग अलग कंट्रीज में सेम डोमेन के एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी सर्वर्स लोकेटेड है। तो ये सारे सर्वर्स में टाइम सिंक्रोनाइज होना है। This responsibility is with PDC emulator. Understood or any doubts?
Clear, clear.
ठीक है?
टाइम सिंक्रोनाइज करने अच्छा वजह क्या है राजीव भाई?
हाँ, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन है। वजह क्या है? तो अब जब आप लॉग इन कर रहे हैं मुजाहिद, ठीक है, आप आपके अकाउंट से लॉग इन कर रहे हैं कोई एप्लीकेशन, ठीक है, आप अभी क्या टाइम हो
जी
रहा है आपके पास, 11:49 AM हो रहे, 11:49 AM पे आप क्या करें, facebook.com पे गए और आप क्रेडेंशियल्स एंटर करें। क्रेडेंशियल्स एंटर करें तो चलो facebook.com ने आपका जो अटेंडेंस का एप्लीकेशन है ना कंपनी का, वो अटेंडेंस
जी
एप्लीकेशन पे गए, आप यूजर नेम पासवर्ड एंटर किए। यूजर नेम पासवर्ड एंटर करते ही रिक्वेस्ट कहाँ जाती, एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी सर्वर को जाती।
इधर
किस लिए
जी
जाती, आपके क्रेडेंशियल्स वेरीफाई करने के लिए जाती। तो एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी सर्वर को जब ये जो ब्राउजर जब हिट करेगा, browser when the browser will hit your active directory server and request for credentials validation, it will also send the timestamp details। ये टाइम पे रिक्वेस्ट आई बोल के 11:49 AM को रिक्वेस्ट आई यूजर से ऑथेंटिकेशन के लिए। तो आपके वो जो रिक्वेस्ट है ऑथेंटिकेशन की, उसका एक टाइम पीरियड रहता, विद इन दिस मच ऑफ टाइम पीरियड, लेट से 1 मिनट और 2 मिनट के अंदर अंदर आपके क्रेडेंशियल्स वैलिडेट होके आ जाना, मैक्सिमम 1 मिनट
जी
के अंदर आपके क्रेडेंशियल्स एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी में वैलिडेट होके आ जाना। अगर 1 मिनट के अंदर नहीं आया तो रिक्वेस्ट टाइम आउट बोल के आ जाता, रिक्वेस्ट टाइम्ड आउट बोल के एरर मैसेज आ जाता। तो एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी विद इन 1 मिनट क्रेडेंशियल्स वेरीफाई करके आपको एक्सेस दे देना। अगर वन ये टाइम लिमिट क्यों रहता, ये टाइम लिमिट सिक्योरिटी पर्पस के लिए रहता है। अगर आपका वैलिडेशन में टाइम ज्यादा हो रहा है, दैट मीन्स दैट योर रिक्वेस्ट इज गेटिंग हैक्ड इजीली, समवन इज एबल टू हैक योर अकाउंट एंड गेट इनटू योर अकाउंट। तो ये टाइम लिमिट इसलिए मेंटेन करते हैं कि ये टाइम लिमिट में वैलिडेशन हो जाना, अगर अगर टाइम लिमिट से ज्यादा हो रहा है तो रिक्वेस्ट टाइम आउट हो जाती, फेल हो जाती। अगर समझो आपके आपके सर्वर्स में टाइम सिंक्रोनाइजेशन नहीं है, आप रिक्वेस्ट भेज रहे हैं 11:49 AM को, एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी में ऑलरेडी 11:51 AM हो गए,
जी
आप लॉग इन यहाँ पे कर रहे हैं 11:49 AM को, रिक्वेस्ट जा रही है एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी सर्वर, एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी सर्वर बोला ये तो 2 मिनट पुरानी है, मेरे पास 11:51 AM हो गए ऑलरेडी,
जी
उन्हें आपके रिक्वेस्ट को रिजेक्ट कर देता अगर टाइम सिंक्रोनाइजेशन नहीं है तो। आपके सर्वर में 11:49 है आपके पास, तो एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी के सर्वर में भी 11:49 ही रहना। अगर 11:50 11:51 है वहाँ का टाइम, तो ये एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी बोलता है ये रिक्वेस्ट तो 2 मिनट पुरानी है, 1 मिनट पुरानी है, तो आई विल रिजेक्ट द रिक्वेस्ट।
जी
ठीक है, समझ में आया वाई दिस टाइम सिंक्रोनाइजेशन इज इम्पोर्टेंट।
जी समझ में आया। ये ऑटोमेशन है तरह जी भाई ये।
Huh, this is automated. I mean, this particular I mean feature, time sync. I mean, time verification is common for any type of authentication. जब भी आप कोई भी एप्लीकेशन को लॉग इन कर रहे हैं, तो टाइम स्टैम्प इज समथिंग which plays very important role। ठीक है, टाइम स्टैम्प ये हर ऑथेंटिकेशन फ्लो में ऐसा ही होता। it can be related to any application you're accessing. If you're logging into Gmail, if you're logging into Facebook, any application you're logging in, timestamp is very important। timestamp validation होता आइडेंटिटी प्रोवाइडर के पास। में लॉग इन करें तो फेसबुक का जो डेटा सेंटर है वहां पे आपकी रिक्वेस्ट जाती, वहां पे आपके क्रेडेंशियल्स वैलिडेट होते, क्योंकि फेसबुक तो आपका एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी में नहीं होता ना, फेसबुक इज अ थर्ड पार्टी एप्लीकेशन। तो अगर
यस
फेसबुक आप लॉग इन कर रहे हैं तो फेसबुक के डेटा सेंटर को कॉन्टैक्ट होता है, वहां पे एक एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी सर्वर रहता है फेसबुक का, तो दैट विल वेरीफाई योर क्रेडेंशियल्स। तो ये टाइम सिंक्रोनाइजेशन इंपॉर्टेंट है। अगर टाइम टाइम स्टैम्प मैच नहीं हो रहा, पुराना टाइम स्टैम्प लेके आ रहे हैं वहाँ पे फेसबुक के डेटा सेंटर में कुछ और टाइम हो रहा, देन इट विल रिजेक्ट द रिक्वेस्ट।
ओके
ठीक है, so this is about the RID, sorry, PDC emulator. So one of the responsibility of PDC emulator is time synchronization, and we have learned why time synchronization is important. Next is, it is also called as a password master. Okay, PDC emulator is also termed as a password master. Password master in the sense, whenever you change your password in I mean, in an Active Directory, you have a user account. So with this user account, let's say you're changing your password. So the first entity to receive the latest password will be the PDC emulator. ठीक है, जस्ट टेक एन एग्जांपल, आप क्या किए रिसेंटली पासवर्ड चेंज किए आपके यूजर अकाउंट पे, now you're logging into the application, your company application, your timesheet or time track application, so you will enter your password। let's say आपका जो पासवर्ड है वो आइडेंटिफाई नहीं हुआ, that is it's not able to identify as a correct password। so before the Active Directory gives you the error message that it's an incorrect password, Active Directory will go and validate your password in PDC emulator just to ensure that this is the latest password or not, because PDC emulator is an entity which will have the latest password of the user account। ठीक है, अगर रिसेंट में कोई पासवर्ड चेंज हुआ तो सबसे पहले पासवर्ड अपडेट होता पीडीसी एमुलेटर में। ठीक है, so it is also called as a PDC, a password master, because it also stores the latest password of the user account। So this is another responsibility or another benefit of PDC emulator. The primary responsibility is time synchronization, and there is PDC emulator is also the entity which replicates the password as soon as it is updated। Okay, so we are done with 4 roles. There is one last role, the domain wide role, that is infrastructure master। Guys, any doubts or any confusion, or is it being so much lengthy? I just want to understand whether, I mean, the explanation is understandable, or I'm going so much lengthy today. Just
No, Razi, all good.
all good. Okay. So there is one last role left out, that is infrastructure master. Infrastructure master has a very simple role, a simple responsibility, that it will just update the information about each and every object across the different domains. Okay, so let's say you have a user account in a particular domain, that is uzma.shireen and razi.tech. ये एक डोमेन में एक यूजर अकाउंट है, ठीक है. देयर इज आल्सो अनदर सब डोमेन, दैट इज hyderabad.razi.tech. वो डोमेन में ये अकाउंट नहीं है. आई मीन दिस अकाउंट इज बिलोंगिंग टू अ डिफरेंट सब डोमेन. उजमा का अकाउंट दूसरे सब डोमेन को बिलोंग करता, और देयर इज अनदर सब डोमेन इनसाइड द फॉरेस्ट. सो ये डिफरेंट डिफरेंट डोमेन्स हैं इनसाइड द फॉरेस्ट. तो the infrastructure master, what it does is it will update the references or information about each and every object across the domains. Why this is important is because, let's say, Uzma belongs to a different domain, different child domain, and she is looking to access or authenticate to a different resource which is placed in a different child domain inside the same forest. ठीक है. अगर उज़मा के अकाउंट से दूसरे सब डोमेन से को ऑथेंटिकेट करना है, ठीक है, so the other domain should be able to recognize her account, right? तो ये रिकॉग्नाइज जब होता है जब इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर मास्टर इज अपडेटिंग द इंफॉर्मेशन अबाउट ईच एंड एवरी ऑब्जेक्ट अक्रॉस डिफरेंट डोमेन्स inside the forest. So it will keep on updating the information about each and every object in a particular domain to a different domain inside a forest, so that any user or any object from a subdomain can access any resource from a different domain inside the forest. एक दूसरे की पहचान अपडेट करते, ठीक है. अभी माइक्रोसॉफ्ट डॉट कॉम बोल के फॉरेस्ट है. माइक्रोसॉफ्ट डॉट कॉम में मल्टीपल सब डोमेन्स है, जैसा ऑन माइक्रोसॉफ्ट डॉट कॉम बोल के एक है. फिर डिफरेंट डिफरेंट लोकेशन वाइज, इफ वी हैव सेपरेट डोमेन्स, लेट्स से हैदराबाद डॉट माइक्रोसॉफ्ट डॉट कॉम, बैंगलोर डॉट माइक्रोसॉफ्ट डॉट कॉम, ठीक है. जस्ट एन एग्जाम्पल. So if we have different child domains in place, what this infrastructure master does is it will update the information of one particular child object into a different particular domain, so that अगर कोई यूजर एक डोमेन से दूसरे डोमेन को ऑथेंटिकेट करना चाह रहा, जस्ट टू एक्सेस एनी एप्लीकेशन विच इज देयर इन अ डिफरेंट डोमेन, then it will be able to recognize that account, and it will be able to authenticate that user account. ठीक है, क्लियर है या कुछ कंफ्यूजन है? इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर मास्टर, it has a very simple responsibility. It just updates the references or information about one object placed in a particular domain to a different domain inside the same forest.
इसका कोई एग्जांपल रजी भाई, लाइक दूसरे डोमेन में एक्सेस करने के लिए जब यूजर जा रहा
जी.
तो
Yeah. Okay,
इसका कोई
Uzma got
एग्जांपल.
disconnected. Okay. So example is like yeah, as I said, अब समझो आप बैंगलोर लोकेशन का जो चाइल्ड डोमेन है, बैंगलोर लोकेशन के चाइल्ड डोमेन में कुछ एक एप्लीकेशन यूज होता, ठीक है, जो कि हैदराबाद चाइल्ड डोमेन में यूज नहीं होता, ठीक है. दैट एप्लीकेशन इज ओनली अवेलेबल फॉर बैंगलोर domain users, but that application is not available for Hyderabad domain users. Now,
ओके.
when Hyderabad domain user is looking to access that application which is available for Bangalore domain, Bangalore का जो डोमेन का जो एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी सर्वर रहेगा, वो सर्वर ऑथेंटिकेट करेगा, राइट, ये हैदराबाद के डोमेन यूजर को. तो how will Bangalore Active Directory server will recognize the user coming from Hyderabad? In
बिकॉज
order
ऑफ द
to be,
इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर.
yeah, that is why, I mean, in order to be able to recognize the user account coming from a different child domain, it is the responsibility of infrastructure master to keep the references updated, to keep the uh, information about the objects updated across these two domains, so that the other domain can also recognize the users of different domains coming from a different child domain inside the same forest. कंपनी तो सेम है Microsoft.com, लेकिन मल्टीपल चाइल्ड डोमेन्स हैं इनसाइड Microsoft.com. तो ये मल्टीपल चाइल्ड डोमेन्स में जो ऑब्जेक्ट्स है, ये अक्रॉस द चाइल्ड डोमेन्स रिकॉग्नाइज होना by different Active Directory servers. This responsibility is with infrastructure master.
Okay.
ठीक है, it's a very simple thing. Infrastructure master is a very simple uh, role. I mean, it has a very simple responsibility, similar to domain naming master. It's a very simple thing, straightforward, just domain naming convention. It ensures that the naming convention is unique. If domain naming master is down, the impact would be you will not be able to create a new domain at that particular point of time, because when you're creating a new domain in a forest, domain naming master is comes into picture, comes into action, and it will validate the naming convention of that particular domain. Okay, domain naming master and infrastructure master, very simple. Schema master is a very important thing, and you need to understand what is schema, what are attributes, why those are important. Relative id master, security IDs. It maintains it generates security IDs, allocates it to new objects getting created. PDC emulator, primary responsibility is time synchronization. Secondary responsibility is password master. It also replicates the passwords. ठीक है, simple, clear है. 5 roles: schema master, domain naming master, RID master, PDC emulator, infrastructure master. 5 FSM roles, very important for interview perspective.
Sir,
Infrastructure master is used to update the information.
Update the information of objects across different subdomains inside the forest. With this, I
Clear?
think you're already. Yeah, Uzma.
Yeah, it's clear, Azif.
Okay, thank you. So we are already. It's end of the class, 12 p.m. So my plan was to go with the practical session as well, but yeah, it took some time for us. So we are left with another important topic, that is Kerberos. Have you guys ever heard about Kerberos?
no, Rajiv.
No.
Kerberos is an authentication protocol. We'll learn about it in our next class. It's a very important topic, Kerberos authentication. Kerberos is a protocol. Okay, protocol is like a set of rules, right? So you guys might have heard about TCP/IP protocol and all, right? Similar to that, it's a protocol used by Active Directory to authenticate a user. प्रोटोकॉल मतलब क्या है? प्रोसीजर है, ठीक है? अब आप अब आप एयरपोर्ट गए तो आपको फ्लाइट में ऑन बोर्ड करने तक एक प्रोसीजर रहता, जो एयरपोर्ट वाले फॉलो करते, राइट? यू हैव टू फॉलो द प्रोसीजर टू गेट इनटू द एरोप्लेन, राइट? आप अब फ्लाइट में ऑनबोर्ड होने होने तक आपको एक प्रोसीजर फॉलो करना है. सिमिलरली एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी में यूजर को ऑथेंटिकेट करके एप्लीकेशन का एक्सेस मिलने तक एक प्रोसीजर फॉलो होता. वो प्रोसीजर का नाम है कर्बरस प्रोटोकॉल. So with the help of Kerberos protocol, the user is getting authenticated, and he is getting access to the application. Okay. So we'll learn about it in detail in our next class. What is Kerberos protocol and how does the Kerberos authentication happens? And after this, we will go with the practical session, wherein we'll configure and install Active Directory role in a server operating system, and we'll see how exactly it is configured. And also, you guys will have the access remotely to create your own servers, virtual machines, and configure Active Directory for those machines. So we'll do it most probably Sunday. I'll make the lab and everything in advance. For next 2 days, I'll just work on the labs, and I'll ensure the labs are in in a particular state where you can practice. Okay. Any questions?
No,
No, Razi.
no question.
All right, yeah. Let's connect back same time, 11 a.m. on Sunday. Okay. I will give you the credentials to log into lab and how you need to practice. So usually we'll use the Team Viewer application to take the remote session. So you can install the Team Viewer application in your personal laptops. Team Viewer, or also we can have the AnyDesk application. So anything which is convenient for you, you can use that remote tool application. You can install the remote tool application in your personal laptop to connect to the lab server over here, and you can practice.
Sure, Rajiv, inshallah.
All right, yeah. Please ensure that you're making the initial payment, uh, initial installment as early as possible. Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
Razi.
Rajiv.
Yep. The same number, my phone number is available with Google Pay, so you can make the payment over there. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Let's connect back.